Hey, welcome back to more D&D. My name's Brandon Moore, and today is the second installment of videos all about the buildings in Heroes Haven. If you're not sure what Heroes Haven is, go ahead and click this link here, where I go pretty in depth about exactly what it is, but essentially it's a campaign that anyone can play with anyone at any time without getting that finished feeling of a one-shot, but rather that continuity that a campaign can give you. If this sounds interesting to you, now might be a good time to subscribe if you're not already, because I'm releasing a bunch of content, just like this video, that goes in depth about exactly how to run the town, or the buildings inside of it, which includes their proprietors, and a whole bunch more info. And so you can get notified anytime I release one of those videos in preparation for your campaign. Additionally, I put all the materials that I release over on my Patreon for you to access and have on hand whenever you need it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's building, being the local inn, which Craig, has called the LinkedIn. Now first, let's talk about how the LinkedIn came to be. It's pretty self-explanatory, but essentially when Craig had his town hall constructed and was on his way to setting up this whole town himself, he knew he needed a place for adventurers to stay. Now, did he need to go as big as he did? No, but Angie actually wanted to be the proprietor of this building because she wanted to be the one welcoming new adventurers to the town. And so she started designing and coming up with ideas for the facility, and next thing you know, a 4-story inn was being constructed on the property. Upon its completion, it was named the LinkedIn by Angie herself, who believed that this would be the place that adventurers would come to link up with each other before going off on their quests. Now, the facility itself is not as ornate as the town hall is. It's not made of white stone and marble, but it is a beautiful facility, and it is massive, rivaling the town hall, but being beat out only by the gold statue on top. Now, before we talk about what the inside looks like, I do want to talk about how I run it, starting with Angie. You see, Angie I picture to be this middle-aged human woman who has this bubbly, exciting demeanor with this Southern belle drawl to her accent. She's got beautiful straight brown hair, typically tied up in a bun, and these nice long flowy dresses that she wears every day to help give off these welcoming vibes as new adventurers make their way into the inn. Now, at night when Angie's sleeping, I typically have a guard or two manning the counter itself, renting out rooms, and taking care of everything. But typically, she's the only one manning the facility, while you just have guards coming in and out as more of a protective service rather than actually working in the inn. The other most notable thing about running the inn itself is actually called Angie's List. This is the list of contractors that have been pre-approved by Craig to come do work in the town, whether that be for adventurers that are having something built over in the garden on the plots of land that they bought, or if they need something worked on, such as their wagon or a boat. These are the people that can come in and can do service on these facilities or in these places without getting kicked out by Craig for selling goods and services in the town. Currently, there are 4 contractors on the list, starting with Lobus Brickhorn, who is a male, rough-and-tumble dwarf who specializes in carpentry and the construction and reparation of the buildings within Heroes Haven. The second contractor on the list is Benedict Tiller, a pretty easygoing human male that specializes in carpentry and restoration of vehicles, such as the wagons and boats that I mentioned before. The third contract on the list is Fiona Silverstring, a female halfling that's kind of crazy but easy to get along with, who specializes in kind of the natural rehabilitation, restoration, adjustment within Heroes Haven, such as tree removal, or if someone has a building put up on a plot of land and wants it hardscaped or landscaped, this is who they reach out to have that done. The final contractor on the list is Aerith Sorrel, a female elf who is not as easy to get along with as the halfling is, but is very artistic in nature and knows how to take a home and make it look beautiful. So she specializes in interior and exterior design and furnishing. So basically anyone that just had their property built in Heroes Haven and needs a little help making it look nice, that's where Aerith comes in. Now, none of these contractors live on site. They are hired from out of town, but they can come into town and do whatever it is that the characters are asking for. And so typically I use this outside of the game as figuring out what the players want to do and essentially making it make sense that they hire these people to come do the work for them. One example is that a player requests a wagon. Now, we don't sell wagons in Heroes Haven, but it made sense for them to reach out to the dwarf and have him come and build them a wagon. Now, they took it one step further and actually had it reinforced with iron over in the hardened hammer, but that's for another video. Now let's talk about what the inside of the building looks like. See, the first thing you're going to notice when you walk into the LinkedIn is central on the first floor, a massive skull from an ancient black dragon. And this is actually from the first quest that was ever completed on behalf of Heroes Haven. Now, I don't have an official story for that yet, but feel free to make one up. Maybe something along the lines of the town of Amphail reaching out because an ancient black dragon that had previously kept to itself in the Mirror of Dead Men has started to branch out and pillage some of the villages nearby. It doesn't matter, it's however you want to make it up. You may never even have to tell that story anyway. Now, surrounding this dragon skull are 7 pretty large tables that anyone can sit at and talk with each other and enjoy some bread or water that you get from this massive bar in the back. This bar is where you can find Angie stationed, and you'll have to go to her first before you can rent out any rooms. Now, to the left and the right, you'll see a row of doors on either side, most of them being for rooms, with the exception of the far right room being the lavatory. The rest of the doors being rooms are actually all different kinds of rooms, and these were primarily set up for the charlatan type folk that want to be on the first floor and kind of be near everyone and be a part of the conversation. But then, of course, there are plenty of rooms on the other 3 floors for anyone that doesn't want to be a part of the hustle and bustle of the first. Directly to your right when you walk in, you can find Angie's list hanging up on the wall, and directly to your left, you'll find a nice hearth warming up the area and a set of stairs that's going to lead up to the second floor. Now, the second floor was constructed to have as many rooms as possible that would fit 2 people in each room, because Craig and Angie both knew that there are going to be plenty of people that want to stay in the same room, whether for safety reasons or to just pay less money. You can follow this hallway through all the rooms until you get to the other side of the building, where you'll reach the set of steps that goes up to the 3rd floor. Now, the 3rd floor is constructed of nicer rooms with only a single bed in them, but each one having a desk, so that way individuals that want to kind of keep to themselves and work on things can do so. But more importantly, the 3rd floor is where the larger lavatory is that also has bathtubs. Now, this is all included in the price for any kind of room. You don't have to sleep on the 3rd floor to utilize this restroom, but the best part about being on the 3rd floor is that you are so close to it. If you're on the 2nd floor, you're going to have to go either down a set of steps or up a set of steps to get to the bathroom, so these rooms tend to be a little bit cheaper, and then they're typically split between 2 different people. Now, the 4th floor is a bit of a different story. This one's comprised of only 4 rooms, but they are massive and they are beautiful. Each room's thematic, geared towards a different types of person, and they each have a fun name to go with them. And when you reach the top of the steps, you can follow the hallway straight all the way to the end to come across the first room being the Necromancer's Nook. Now, this is a very dark room with this purple arcane flame lighting up the whole room that's filled with white furnishings between the coffee table and the dresser and this giant pillow. This is the preferred bedroom for, let's just say, the more nefarious of our heroes. It even comes with a safe that they can use in their stay on the interim, just in case they're worried about anyone coming to take their stuff. Now, if instead of going straight, you make a right down the main corridor, you're going to come across the next room on your right, being the War Room. This is for our more rough and tumble fighter style characters that want to sleep somewhere a little more tough and edgy while still maintaining the comfort of being in the LinkedIn. This room comes with a workbench that they can use to work on their weapons, as well as a smaller bed that may be a bit more reminiscent of their times out in the field, and then of course a target that they can practice some of their archery on, depending on if that's their style or not. Now, passing this room and getting down to the end of the corridor, we come across the last 2 rooms, one on the left and one on the right. The one on the right is called the Nest, and this room was designed for the more outdoorsy Outlander folk that find themselves wanting to stay indoors rather than outside, but want a little more reminiscence of what it's like out in nature. And so we went with a more organic feel inside of here, having plants all over the place, replacing the bed with a hammock, and getting rid of those rigid wooden chairs for the same kind of wicker chair that Craig has over in the town hall. And finally, the last room on the left is called the Study. This is a very elegant, more basic room that was designed for the most studious of our adventurers, with a little bookshelf over in the corner, a chaise to relax on while reading your favorite book, and a very comfortable, beautiful bed to lay on. Now, each one of these rooms comes with their own bathroom, so they don't have to worry about having to go downstairs to use it. And additionally, they come with dressers and other place to essentially kind of move in for their stay, as Craig and Angie try to make it too comfortable for them to leave. The longer these people stay, the more money they're going to make, because these rooms are the most expensive. Which leads me to my last point. So how much does it cost to stay at the LinkedIn? Well, that's totally up to you as the DM, but for me, Angie charges on average about 1 gold piece per night for each room, primarily on the second and third floor. Those are the average sized rooms. Now you may want to change that because on the second floor it has 2 beds in each one, so maybe they charge a little bit more knowing that there's going to be more people staying inside of it, but they also have less space per person in those rooms, so I tend to just keep it the same. On the first floor, the back left room is actually a bigger, nicer room with a desk inside of it, and so I tend to charge maybe 2 or 3 gold pieces for that one. But the others I typically keep around that 1 gold piece mark. Although some of them do have a nicer bed in them, or some of them do come with a desk, so it's up to you if you want to change that. Now the 4th floor is obviously different. Those are much nicer rooms, and you're going to have higher class, richer proprietors staying inside of those rooms. So I tend to have Angie charge anywhere from 5 to 10 gold pieces per night, depending on the wheeling and dealing that the character does. And that's really all I have for you for the Linked Inn. It's really just a central hub for all heroes to stay in between quests, and they can be expected to charge anywhere from 1 to 10 gold pieces depending on what kind of persuasion they put on Angie. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and as I mentioned, all of the stuff that you need to run the Linked Inn and any other part of Heroes Haven is going to be uploaded to my Patreon. You can go download it right now, including the maps for the Linked Inn, the maps for the Town Hall, and a bunch of information all about Heroes Haven, and even several encounters that are ready to run right now. Thank you so much for your support, and I can't wait to see you in the next video where we're going to talk about the town's library called Legends, Lore, and Love Stories.